Hey guys, it's BlockchainBrad, and today I'm very honoured to speak with none other than the founder of Ontology. That's right, we are talking with Li Jun. Li Jun, thank you very much for your time today.
Yes, thank you. Nice to talk again.
As always, you are the founder and you are one of the lead architects of Ontology, a very complex system. Let's explore that exactly though, Li Jun. Now, you profess to be the leader of what's known as a public blockchain, or more importantly, a multi-chain project, specifically a distributed trust cooperative platform designed to be for the people. Now, let's explain exactly what that all means.
Okay, the multiple public blockchain means we can not only one single public blockchain and use a framework can do the customization for the different business scenario or different industry as a business chain or sub-blockchain, and they work together as chain network. So another platform is trust cooperative, a lot of common modules like the distributed identity or distributed data exchange, reputation system, and the electronic contract system. All those modules work together to build the bridge linked to the real business scenario. They can support different real business scenario in different country, in different legal system. So that is Ontology, work together as a platform support real business scenarios.
I see. So obviously we spend a lot of time talking about projects specifically, particularly those that vertically scale or vertically build upon each other. Now, what sets you apart in that respect? Because as I said before, is often we see, even with the iterations of BTC, we even see with Neo, many of these are vertically designed. So why have you done something so different?
Yeah, I think it's many things. Vertical blockchain, yes, is workable for some specific requirements. But when you find they have a lot of common requirements from the scenarios. One common, of course, you need the blockchain infrastructure and need the smart contract mechanism. And beside that, if you review currently the real business scenario, if they want to running as a decentralized service, they also have many common requirements. For example, the identity management, distributed identity management, data exchange, and some cases have the distributed contract, electronic contract, and signature service, and even the reputation or rating score service. All those is common service. They can cover different scenarios. So that is not necessary to redo again and again in different vertical application. They should have a common platform support that.
I see. Now, Li Jun, often when we've talked in the past, I've used the analogy of a government. Is it fair to use that analogy with Ontology as an example of service provision, because you obviously can cater for a multitude of protocols, platforms, and even beyond that? So can you talk us through a little bit of that interconnectivity that you offer from protocol to protocol, platform to platform? You often used the term previously of cross-compatibility in multiple ways. So do you still offer that kind of service?
Yes. Currently, we already begin to build the sub-blockchain for some specific industry or solution. And during the sub-blockchain, we have the cross-chain protocols like the identity mapping and the digital assets, token mapping and the token exchange between that. And also next phase, we also will do the research for the consensus process, the integration across the chains. So the sub-blockchain can choose different protocols level to work together. Yeah.
I see.
And yeah.
So that affords choice and selectivity in terms of, or selection in terms of options. But can I just talk through some of the specifics of those sub-blockchains or sub-platforms, as you said, rather? What specific purposes are they for? And are they industry geared? Are they enterprise geared? Or what are they essentially?
It's an enterprise-based sub-blockchain. They are working for, it's a kind of group enterprises. They have a lot of different companies in different action industry. They also have the token economic in those business.
Right.
So it's suitable to build their own sub-blockchain with their own governance model and even consensus model.
I see. So that's sorry to interrupt, but that's where the on-chain facility came in right from the get-go. You were always transparent about the enterprise sector, and you always made it clear that the DNA protocol underpinning that was for the enterprise marketplace. Is that still the case?
Yeah, but this time is running on Ontology public chain. platform. It's not DNA case. Actually, DNA already be upgraded as ontology framework. So the DNA, actually we have redesigned the architecture. The architecture is totally different with DNA. So all the framework for the enterprise level service, we also use ontology.
I see. So private service. So to be clear for everyone, including myself, you've subsumed all of that aspect and that original design into the ontology framework, into that architecture, so that you now cater for not just the public blockchain, as you say in the title, but you also cater for essentially the private marketplace with the ability to cater for enterprise to create their own.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's interesting. So no longer is that bifurcated design, no longer is it separate and dichotomized by the two, but all in one with ontology as the architecture. Now, let's explore a little bit more of this in terms of the modules. Now, tell us a bit about modules in terms of the ontology 1.0 and what does it mean to say you're modular by design?
Okay. Ontology 1.0 already included the complex blockchain infrastructure and the smart contract mechanism. Of course, have a smart contract mechanism and the consensus module and the peer-to-peer networking models and the ledger and the storage. The modularized design means the consensus module and the storage mechanism and the peer-to-peer networking protocol and the ledger structure all is modularized. That means data can be changed for different sub-blockchain. They can choose different consensus model, different peer-to-peer networking protocol, and different storage mechanism to build their own blockchain for that. Of course, in the mandate version, in the common service version, we use VPFT, we use the ontology mandate structure. And for the dispute trust cooperative platform, we already finished the dispute identity framework called ONT and also finished the dispute data exchange protocols modules. People already can use that, manage the identity service, and also can manage do the data exchange on the ontology.
I see, and I think that's a good point to make because in the past, many people have misappropriated the role of ID, particularly identification and verifications, as somehow a marker of ontology as a whole, which is just not the case. That is one component itself. Now, if we can talk a little bit more about the relationship between companies and ontology, what's currently the case with those sub-platforms you mentioned in terms of enterprise agreements you've already forged or any partnerships you've made, and what can you tell us about the names, if you can at all?
Yeah, we still cannot announce right now, but it's one of our partners, important partners, and also is important large group actually.
Tell us a bit more. Tell us a bit more. Large group. You say large. How large are we talking? Are we talking in the scale of China? How large are we talking, Jun?
Yes, we will announce. We want to finish the first version and then do the formal announcement.
Okay.
Yeah, but we are in progress right now. Yeah.
Sure. All right, now let's talk about the fuel for the ecosystem. Now you have a very unique design, or perhaps not so unique compared to Neo itself with Neo's own dual token model, but you do make it very clear that you have ONG for utility and ONT specifically as the governance mechanism. Talk us through exactly how that works and what the specific roles are and how you can go beyond just simply saying that the ONG fuels the economy. We need more information than just that.
Okay. The dual token mechanism, ONT and ONG, and this is bounded the token. That means the ONG will be released periodically and month by month, day or block by block, and the ONT holder can got released ONG block by block. That is one thing. Another is all the released ONG can be used in ontology platform as gas, and all the consumed gas will return to a pool, will reward to the ONT holder. Those holder owning the holder put the ONT to join the consensus mechanism. That means you can be a node, put your token as a consensus node, or even you are individual, just a few token, for example, as 1,000 token, you also can put your token to the smart contract. and to, okay, I support this node or that node. You also will get reward according to your putting.
I see. So you really incentivize use of the ONG to really not to deploy smart contracts, to engage with smart contracts. That's interesting, and you also allow for back-end transactions to happen as well.
Yeah. The reward, because the ONG will be used on Ontology platform, all the used ONG will be returned to reward to the holder, ONT holder. But one thing need to be highlighted is not all holder. You need to join the consensus mechanism or join the governance model. That means you need to lock the ONT in the smart contract.
I see.
And you can get the reward. That also can lock some liquidity.
So it's all about real commitment to it. When you talk about the lock, it shows that you value the long-term position in some way, or at least take the game seriously for the long term rather than the short term play we often see in the industry now. Now, if we can talk specifically about some of the unbound literature right now. You mentioned unbound, so let's talk about it. Now, what exactly does the unbounded token mean, and why are we talking about this with regard to percentages over years? What does that even mean? With regard,
you mean the unbounded is do you mean the ONT and ONG?
Yes, yes. There's some literature about that, so I thought I'd mention that now.
Yeah, currently ONG will be unbound in 18 years, totally 18 years. But in the first several years, where the speed will be very high, currently if you hold the 10,000 ONT, you will get around 4 ONG per day, every day. Yeah, 4 ONG every day. Yeah,
I see. So once again, it's the incentivization of the token itself, of the ecosystem of Ontology providing for the user with another token as a reward.
Yeah, you can hold the ONT. If you want to run in some application on Ontology, deploy something or the issue token, you need the ONG to use that. So that means you can got the ONG from ONT, and also you can sell the ONT to the exchange to the others.
I see.
Want to use.
Now, obviously, of late, we've seen a really serious a bear market, Li Jun, as well. Are you concerned at all about that, given that we've seen all kinds of action on the blockchain? We've seen, positive, benign behavior, but also very malignant behavior with dumps everywhere. So are you concerned at all about the kind of manipulations from the back end that you surely must be aware of with regard to the success of Ontology in the long term?
Yeah. We think one thing is, as a community-based project, you need to be the transparent for everything. The code, the coding, and the open source, and also include the token distribution and also the progress. That is Ontology will to do. And we have promised the community we will let no other wrong information to the community. All the information is correct information. And one thing is we can promise is we have one of the largest team in public blockchain globally, actually. And we have a promise to do the Ontology project in a very long term. 3 year or 5 year, we are still continually to do that.
I see.
If you are a long-term supporter, we have a confidence to be a world-class the infrastructure for that.
Right.
But the other things like the price or the other things is depend on the whole market and the short term. Yeah, that is we cannot control for this one. But we can promise is we will continually to push Ontology be better and better.
I see. Now, I guess a big question for you, and it's tough asked to even answer it, but given that it is such a difficult market right now, it is such a bear market, do you think that we're moving into the tech-driven systems of the future, or are we still in a hype-driven bubble?
Yes, in whole industry maybe have a bubble exists. That is definitely yes. But if you think blockchain or decentralized infrastructure will be one part of important infrastructure in next phase. Not only like the internet centralized infrastructure is very important. Everywhere is based on that. If you think a decentralized service infrastructure will be successful, currently all those kind of infrastructure, the price, the whole market value still is very low. Maybe one or two in the big centralized infrastructure like Facebook or the Alibaba, Tencent already cover almost all the decentralized service infrastructure.
Exactly.
So in the long term, it still is. In the short term, maybe you think it's bubble and hype in the price. But for the long term, and I think if it can be the successful and the team can do that in the long term, it still is the low price for that.
I see.
From my point of view.
Sure. And obviously you are very much leading a tech-driven entity. Ontology is renowned for that. You've mentioned the team. Now let's go there. What's been happening, Li Jun, as an update with your team? When we last spoke, it was the largest team actually in China for blockchain. Has it grown since then?
Yes, so we almost grow in every week. Have new talents coming in. The talents include the top levels, the security, blockchain, the technology guys. And also currently we already increased our marketing team and our solution team, business consulting team. That means Ontology in next phase not only provide technical service or platform, also provide consulting and solution design and marketing service for all the application and partners. That means in next phase, if you want to be a successful public blockchain project, it's not only technical service. You need to have a capability to do the consulting and do the marketing and do the solution design. So we are already ready for those kind of service.
Right. Well, let's talk about that then. You talk about your being ready. So let's translate that into the real world, because obviously for you to be ready, there needs to be other businesses ready to utilize your service. What can you tell us about even the West, for example? We know that Korea is popular. We know that Japan's waiting. We know China's certainly right there at the forefront.
Yeah.
But all these regions, what can you tell us about the other side of enterprise businesses in the real world wanting to use you?
Okay. We have already have some connection with Korea and Japan enterprise and governments as well, and also have also like the United States. And in next phase, we will open our office, local team in Japan, in United States, Bay Area, San Francisco, and also in the Korea, the local office. And for marketing sites, in next 3 months, we will have a global meetup and global hackathon. We will have Korea, Japan, United States, Europe, and Southeast Asia. And we have a lot of the local marketing works and business engagement for this part.
I see. Now, obviously, of late, you've also published some partnerships relate to blockchain, relate to crypto itself. I want to talk to you about a few of them. Now, Certic, with their formal verifications, you've partnered with them. Another one, my apologies if I pronounce this wrong, but please help me, but is it AdRealm or something like that? With Andy Lee recently announced that from your team. Microsoft is another one, and Liaoning. So tell us a bit about those partnerships, what they mean to Ontology, and are they more than just simply helping businesses out? What do they actually do?
Okay. One thing is all those partners will build on Ontology. Some maybe is decentralized application, and some will be the sub-blockchain, public blockchain in the next phase. And Ontology strategy is build the partnership in different industry. In different industries, we want to build the example in different industry as a real case, real example. And then all the other players in those industry, and okay, this is good case. How to run our business model as a decentralized way models. That is can attract more partners joining Ontology ecosystem in the long term. So currently we will focus on supporters.
Right, and clearly you have the first mover advantage by doing this. So would you do you argue that you're the first ones, quite literally, to move into for want of a better analogy, to attack all aspects of the pie, to really cater for all components so that you address all areas of industry? Is that what Ontology is doing and leading the way?
Yeah, for the different industry or different scenarios, we will still focus on infrastructure level. Of course, we will provide the common modules for some specific industry, for example, the content advertising, and we will private the common modules. But the application level, our partner will do that because they are professional team in different industry. They will do that part better. But we will focus on private the common infrastructure. Sure. Once one case success, the common module can be reused for whole industry. That is our strategy.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about the ecosystem of blockchain itself. Now, if we could go back to the iterations of TCP/IP when it was first designed, with even the node structure as a good analogy for that, or even neural networks of the brain. This works the same way. So, are you planning on lighting up blockchain by connecting with other blockchains?
Yes, interoperability is an important way, just mentioned. Is ontology identity, the framework, is not only support for ontology for public blockchain. Other blockchains and even traditional IT system also can use the ONT framework as identity manager or mapping system as well. Our data exchange protocol or in the next phase have a reputation common modules, all can be used for other blockchain and even traditional IT system.
I see.
And yeah.
And has that happened, Li Jun? Have you signed any agreements yet? Is there discussions being had now with other public blockchains? For example, Ethereum, Cardano, and QuarkChain, all of these that are coming to the fore now. Are you currently in discussions of how they can utilize your architecture?
Yeah, we don't sign this kind of agreement with other blockchain, but we have a discussion about the interaction protocol with other teams. And I think those kind of protocol should be open and standard protocol. They needn't to do that with agreement. They can follow. We can follow if we want to do the interaction. We can follow the open and standard protocol together.
Sure.
Easy thing, yeah.
Sure, I appreciate that. Now, if we could talk about some of the enhancements as well. Now, that's a specific word that has come from Ontology of late. Now, even your TPS has improved substantially. Let's talk about your scalability capacity, and let's talk about other enhancements that are specific and new to Ontology.
Okay. In next phase, of course, one is infrastructure level. We will do a lot of enhancement, and just mentioned performance enhancement still will have a good enhancement in the next phase. And also scalability, we have the parallel execution mechanism for the transaction that will be a help for the scalability. And the first the sub blockchain also is doing right now, maybe we're coming soon, and we can be the really multiple chain mechanism. And also we will design more the interaction protocols to support different scenarios. In next phase, we want to build the multiple blockchain.
I see, and that explains also the title of multi-chain that you have. Which makes complete sense. Now, I read somewhere that currently you're working around the testing of about 5,000 TPS, or the capacity of. Is that correct? And that you're moving towards 10,000, or what's the exact capability now? And does it even matter in your opinion as you move forward?
Yeah. It's TPS currently is currently our open source version already is 5K. 5,000 TPS, because everyone can download the code from our GitHub and to running by themselves. They can test easily to verify that.
Okay, and so that's true transparency in that respect.
Yes, that's true transparency. Everyone can verify that. Okay. It's not from our internal testing. It's actually from the community test.
I see. And
our internal is doing enhancements. We will try to reach to the 10,000 TPS in next phase. And, in more, and we add the scalability, capability, the TPS, and the performance.
Sure. And Li Jun, I wanted to ask you this. My apologies for interrupting, but often in the past, particularly perhaps 6 months ago, we heard constant dialogue and banter about 1 million TPS, and I think we've discussed this before. But what do you think about those kind of claims? And what's the basis when essentially most projects don't require 1 million TPS, and some would argue that it's not even really that plausible even right now with the capacities offered by blockchain.
Yeah, it's if you talk about the million TPS, it's definitely not true. Why I'm saying it's not true? That is different. How to say it's different description about the TPS. For example, if you use the BFT and the depose, and if you want to keep your decentralized level, and the sovereign TPS already is quite high, very high.
Absolutely.
It's kind of the mathematic the limitation. It's not all those million the TPS is kind of the multiple chain or core-based chain they and then add together as a TPS. That is not the real number. You cannot use those kind of number. I can copy ontology as 100,000 times.
Right, and as you know, there's all kinds of mechanisms that are utilised to make these claims. We've heard of block ladders, we've heard of all the way through, and you know, quite simply, sometimes it's just simply BS rather than it is anything more. Now, if we could move on to your trust search engine. Now, that is something that was of interest when I read about it, or known as you know, the Ontology Blockchain Explorer. How important is that to this next wave of development you're making, and what does it actually do?
Yeah. When the currently where ontology identity already be launched right now, and the next phase, and the people use ONT ID, they will link more information and manage the information. And then when the application have finished the development and deployed to the ontology, a lot of service and data information, data address will running on ontology ecosystem. Maybe in different blockchain or sub-blockchain. And people can use the trust search engine, quickly search out the people and objects and content and service, and they can use and or verify those information directly.
Right.
Next phase. Yeah.
Well, that's quite an exciting development. How many people have you assigned to developing that? Because that, no doubt, is quite a complex technology in itself.
Currently, we have a product team is around maybe 20% people.
Just to do that.
Yeah, not just to do that. They also do the onto the application. The onto application already nearly be a stable version in next phase, and they will more focus on trust search engine. But search engine, another way is you need more and more the application and the service be linked to the running on ontology. Then you have the more content can be searched out.
Right.
So that is two parts needed to do.
I see.
The searching. Yeah.
Now let's talk about your roadmap. Now, if you could tell us about some of the milestones. Like, I've read about some of the travels you're going to do, and obviously that's going to promote ontology. That's fine. But let's talk about the real milestones of technology in terms of the plan that you want to do to roll out some of the things.
Yeah. Actually, every quarter, every 3 months, we will have upgrade or enhancement for ontology infrastructure. For example, in this quarter, we will have performance improvement and scalability improvement, and the new module, new protocol coming from a distributed corrupted the platform, and also have the new functionality, Oracle functionality will be launched in this quarter. And of course, next quarter we will have the multiple chain coming and the sub-blockchain coming, more application coming. So every 3 months we will have a big enhancement, big upgrade for the ontology infrastructure.
I see. Obviously, there's a lot coming now. Let's talk about, in terms of development, let's talk about dApps as well, or dApps as some call it. Now, one thing that is interesting, and I have noticed this, Li Jun, I went to, when I was in San Jose, I saw the presentation you made, and you really do have unique dApps in comparison to many others. They're very technologically driven. Can you talk us through the vision you have of dApps as an ecosystem, and also tell us what is happening currently, how many dApps you do have?
Okay, we have announced a lot of the partnership, and most of those partners is building the dApps on ontology right now.
Right.
We hope we can that those dApps can be formally relaunched in this quarter and the next quarter in some apps. For example, the PTS, they already finished the first version, is currently running on ontology testnet. They are doing the financial verification service and the data exchange service. So and more dApps and the advertising apps and even some gaming and those kind of applications.
Sure.
Running right now.
So my understanding, having read some of the advertisements on your Twitter, Cocos is one of them, and I have been reading into that. How important is it to have real, almost reverse ICO companies that are built on real business? How important is it to have them on board onto the ontology architecture and ecosystem? Yeah.
All those, if they want to private the gaming industry, they want to private the decentralized service infrastructure. Ontology maybe is is choice for them.
Sure.
And we have a partnership, and we will support, especially for the identity service and the data exchange service. You can support for their scenario.
Sure. Now, let's talk about OGC. I think I've got that right. So Ontology Global Capital. Now, I've done a lot of study and looked into some of the things that your portfolio and what you support. I've looked in that comparatively with NGC. You are clearly very different in the way that you're approaching, even from an investment side of things for the future. Why is that, Li Jun? Why is OGC so different in their approach?
NGC is more like incubation support. It's not only the purely financial.
So you're not totally profit driven.
No. Profit is important. We don't want to lose money.
Okay.
It's running the capital, but the capital, the major objective is enhance the ontology ecosystem. We will find the different industry that can suitable for ontology platform.
And I want to explore that more because I want to get real with you about this. If you do an assessment of any capital firm right now, whether it be NGC or any of the others, often you do see there's a lot of focus on the technologies that seem to be, best potentiated, best positioned to be of value in the future, and that's fine. But in your case, they really tend to be focused on building out the ecosystem of ontology. So my question is, why aren't more capital firms doing that kind of thing to reflect and build their own ecosystems? Whether that be Cardano, whether that be EOS, whether that be any of them. You clearly are leading the way, in my opinion, for really trying to bolster your own economy. So why aren't others doing that more explicitly?
Your question is why the other platform is...
Yeah, why aren't they following your lead? Because you clearly are, as you said, focused on beyond profit margins, beyond financial. You're also building your own ecosystem with the interest of the dApps that you connect with.
That's the kind of the competition for between the infrastructure, public chain infrastructure. If you want to attract those kind of real good application running our ecosystem, you need a private good technical service, good incubation, good marketing service, good even the funding, and also is other kind of human resource and those kind of service for them. And if you can private your value, except for the money, people is willing to build a partnership with you, and to choose a platform or ecosystem to work together. So that is kind of strategy.
Sure. Now, Li Jun, you mentioned that we're looking now towards the future of application utility. Would you argue that that's the way in which blockchain needs to move even now, with the consistent release of multiple blockchain projects, multiple protocol-based projects? It's almost like it's oversaturated. So, is it your sentiment and your view that we need to actually have applications and real use case?
Yeah, of course. In next phase, I think the blockchain cannot be only be the infrastructure for digital assets. They need to really to support the mainstream scenarios in different industry. We have to do that. That means we need to build another kind of architecture and a new infrastructure and even common modules, build the bridge link to the real business. All those things need to do. Otherwise, just as I mentioned many times, ontology, the blockchain will not be a mainstream infrastructure.
I see. So you're saying that the utility via the dApps is really the key to mass adoption. Right. Okay. Now let's talk about something a lot more challenging, something that's essentially rumored, and I wanted to clarify this. Now, obviously, there's a strong connection between yourselves as Ontology and Neo. And of late, there's been some discussion, even some media releases in China, to suggest that there's a bit of some concerns about the relationship, given that you have so much development going on in Ontology. Are you aware of any of this, and what's happening with the relationship between Neo and Ontology right now?
Okay, we have the technical strategy cooperation. We have built co-work teams and to focus on build the new standards for the smart contract mechanism, work together to build those kind of mechanism. Also, like the Ontology SmartX IE also supports those kind of standard smart contract mechanism. Use IDE, you can build a smart contract running on Ontology, also can support running on Neo.
Sure.
Since currently only the only be proved the mechanism for smart contract only EVM from Ethereum and VM from Neo and Ontology.
Sure.
So
Now, technologically, you're explaining that there's a connection and that there's a relationship. There's almost a synergy, for want of a better word. But I'm talking about something a little bit different. I'm talking about relationships. I'm talking about partnerships in terms of business. Is that still strong?
We have a different direction for this part, just mentioned. Ontology may be more focused on the identity and the data exchange and the real-based scenario. And Neo is digital assets and also is a smart economy and have different the service for each part.
Right.
And I think this is we have different direction and different strategy.
So if you have different directions, respectfully, is there a plan to essentially perhaps one day separate into different entities fundamentally, or are you maintaining that synergy and that, I guess, business connection formally? What's the plan long term?
Well, actually, it's running as a different team right now.
Okay.
It's Ontology. Ontology is the on-chain team behind the Ontology, and Neo have the Neo team and the community.
So you are already separate?
Yeah, already separate. Different the office and a different team.
Sure. Well, thank you for clarifying that, because I think a lot of people still very much see you both almost hermetically connected because of investment interests. Now, if we can move across to competition. Now, if we talk about, there's been talk about Korea having their own ontologies. My apologies, I think I just lost you for a moment. If we could...
Yeah, that's fine.
So let's talk about that. Now, when we heard of Neo for the first time, a lot of people were saying it was the Ethereum of China, which I'm sure you're aware of. Now we hear of, your name being used in Korea. What do you say to those kind of claims, and are you at all concerned?
What you mean? My name in Korea?
Your name, not your name as Li Jung, obviously, but Ontology being used as an analogy, as a comparison for a project that comes from Korea. I won't even be saying those names, but certainly I've heard the title of Korea's new Ontology, and they'll have a project name with that. What do you think about those kind of claims when you hear it? Aside from the fact they're giving you free advertising.
Okay, that's fine. I think it's maybe if you have your successful platform and infrastructure, people will use your name. It's definitely because maybe that means you'll have a influence and have a good application and good technology about that. Sure. So I think I don't care about that. It's if people are doing the similar things with us, and people will check who will do that better, who the coding and the engineering and the marketing and the BD who will be better. That's fine.
Okay, well, let's now move to your socials and the events you've scheduled for this year. Now, you're very busy. Your mainnet, for a start, has already happened, and there's more mainnets coming internationally. Can you talk us through that, and also tell us a bit about how people can learn more, specifically about the complexities of ontology online?
Yeah, the people, we have a lot of documents and development, education, the materials in GitHub, in our website, and people can learn all what kind of things they can do on ontology and what kind of technology. Already we kicked off our technical community. Already have the technical teams building their new functionality on ontology right now to the contribution, and we welcome people to join into the big contribution. And I want to highlight one thing is, if you want to build a decentralized service, you have any technical background, we will support you implementing your decentralized service ontology.
Can you tell us how you would do that? So obviously you're inviting people to be involved, but what's the process for those who perhaps don't have a technological background and want to take part?
Yeah, only you need to do is some kind of the application or the application level, you can do that. And for the blockchain level, even the common module, API, the SDK, and all the common specific module, we will finish for you and even customized for you.
Oh, I see.
You just private your requirements about that. And you only need to focus on your website and your application. You can run in your decentralized service.
I see. That was a nice plug, by the way. What you're saying is that you provide for a multitude of services that can make it easier for the user or for the person who has an interest in your facilities. So well done. That was a good plug on your part. Now, what about social media in terms of access? Now, you have a Discord, I believe, or you have a Telegram. Talk us through how people can engage more as a community.
Yeah, the community, of course, can join our Discord and Telegram and follow our Twitter. And more important, you can join to join our technical community. We have a lot of tasks be released with a reward. You can climb the task you are interested in, and also you can propose the new things you want to do on Ontology or around the Ontology. We will review that and give you a sponsor and give you a reward for your work. And also you can build your startup on Ontology, the new service. It also can be our technical community.
Absolutely. Can you tell us about any other criticisms you've heard as the founder so that you could firstly address them to the community right now? Are there any other concerns out there that you want to let the people know your response to?
Okay, I just want to know is Ontology have a very large team, and the team have a long-term promise to continually to enhance and improve Ontology platform as a world-class platform, and we definitely will do that in the long term, 3 years, 5 years. We still will continue to enhance the Ontology blockchain, and all the support and the community member. We hope we can be a long-term partners to work together to build the world-class infrastructure in the long term.
Absolutely. Well, it's been an honor and a privilege once again to speak with you, Jun Li. You are the founder of Ontology. You've done a lot of work in the last year to build it to what it's become now. Obviously, I wish you all the best as you lead. That's something that's tech-driven. That's what we should be all standing for, is things that's about real tech and real people who matter. So let's talk again soon. And until then, I wish all your team the very best. And focus on the tech and stay tuned.
Sure. Thanks. Okay.